What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another training video. The training session that you guys are watching today is full body A. I did this workout last Saturday. Really the only thing that I feel the need to address with the training session is that this was my first workout back after getting sick, and that's going to lead us into the topic for today's video. And I just kind of want to talk about managing training and bodybuilding while you're sick, and a couple different things to kind of discuss within that topic. I guess the first age-old question to address right off the beginning is very basic. Should you train when you're sick? And the answer to that question would be that it depends. And usually the advice that I hear given on this topic is that if you're experiencing symptoms from the neck up, then it is safe to train. And if you're experiencing symptoms from the neck down, then it's probably in your best interest to rest. And I would personally say that I would agree with that statement from my years of training and coaching people. Oftentimes, if you just have some allergies, or maybe you have a headache or something along those lines, being able to train as long as the symptoms are above the neck is probably going to be pretty safe. I would say really the only exception to this would be if you had strep throat or something like that. And the main concern with that, aside from obviously making your strep throat even worse, would be passing it on to other people. Maybe pink eye would be another exception to that. So I would say unless you have like strep throat or pink eye or something like that, you're probably pretty safe to train if the symptoms are only from the neck up. So let's say that you do have only symptoms from the neck up and only in your head. How would you go about training, or how would I recommend that you go about training? I think that this would be a good time to run some reduced volume training sessions. That way you're still in the gym and you're still putting a stimulus in the muscle. But obviously, if your body is dealing with some sort of illness, no matter how severe, your body is already allocating some of its nervous system's recovery demands towards the illness to try and recover from that. And if you're going in the gym and you're really pushing yourself hard, really causing that CNS to overreach, you're essentially asking for an increased chance of that sickness, which at this point is something minor, turning into something a little bit more extreme after that. So if you are dealing with some mild illness and you really feel the need to get back in the gym, I think that would be a good opportunity for those workouts to be a slight step down, maybe in volume and or intensity than what you're typically used to. Ultimately, that's going to come down to the severity of the illness and just kind of the particular circumstances that you find yourself in at that point in time. But I do think that would be a good opportunity for you to get in the gym and still provide a stimulus, but not such an extreme stimulus that you're causing your body to overtrain and struggle to recover from that. Let's assume the worst, and let's assume that your symptoms are from the neck down and you're dealing with something a little bit more severe than something mild like what we had mentioned. In my particular case, I actually got COVID this past week here. My girlfriend came down with COVID on Monday, and both of us work from home and we're together all the time. So usually when one of us gets sick, it's only a matter of time until the other one gets sick. She failed a COVID test on Monday, and I ended up getting it on Wednesday and was really bedridden for a while there. I mean, I lost a bunch of weight, had a hard time eating. I had the chills and I was sweating at the same time. I mean, just usual flu-like symptoms. Obviously something that is way more severe than just allergies or something like that. So completely unable to train. And let's say that does happen. How do you manage your nutrition and everything like that while you're sick, and then how do you return to the gym after getting sick? So in an instance like what I went through, I think it's really important to pay attention to how your body is feeling. If you're sick but you still have an appetite and you're still able to eat food and stomach it and keep it down, I would encourage you to eat a lot of your normal meals and eat the same foods that you normally eat. Now, if you're having a really hard time from an appetite perspective and maybe eating chicken and rice or steak and potato is something that you just can't keep down and the thought of it is really gross, then I would encourage you to maybe try and hit your macros a little bit more creatively, and this would be one of the instances where I would recommend maybe getting a little sloppy with the diet. There's been plenty of times where I've been sick and the thought of trying to eat chicken and rice is just really, really off-putting, but maybe I can eat some pizza or drink some juice or maybe have some candy and a protein shake or something like that. Obviously in normal circumstances, I would never advocate eating pizza and a protein shake and calling that adequate for hitting your macros. But when you're severely sick and you're kind of faced with a choice between eating nothing or eating something, I do think that eating something is very often better than eating nothing. I think it's really important to remember that when your body is fighting a virus, it's burning a lot of calories. It's allocating and using a lot of energy trying to fight that virus, and you need to provide your body with the energy through calories in order to allow that to happen. And again, if you have the choice between getting that energy and getting those calories from something a little bit more sloppy versus not being able to eat anything because you are on your high horse with eating clean food only, which is a losing battle to a certain extent when you're sick, then I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. So now with my particular case here, and what happens oftentimes with a lot of people is sometimes you get so sick that just eating anything is impossible. And even if you are able to eat something, maybe you can only keep it down for an hour or so before it comes back up. So in an instance like that, I would recommend fasting and not forcing food into your system. Obviously, in an ideal scenario, we'd be able to provide our body with food and calories so that it has energy to be able to fight the virus. But if that food is just coming back up every time that you eat it and you're having a hard time keeping it back down, then at some point you have to take the L and just admit to yourself that you're not going to be able to keep anything down. And even in that case, I would recommend still trying to drink maybe some juices or milk or anything. Again, if you can keep those down. On one of the days that I was sick here, I actually went the entire day without eating anything just because the thought of eating something was really, really gross. And then even when I was trying to eat anything, even pizza or cookies, I just couldn't even really stomach the taste of it without really getting sick. So in the long and short, you want to try and eat if you can, but if you can't, then don't force it, because I do think that trying to force it may actually cause more issues than just allowing yourself to fast and take a break from the eating. Remember that any weight that you lose while you're sick is usually water and glycogen weight, which will return pretty quickly, especially if you're getting back to your normal diet once you get healthy again. So let's talk about returning to bodybuilding once the sickness is over, not only from a training perspective, but from a nutrition perspective. So from a nutrition perspective, depending on how much weight you lost, this may be one of the instances where I advocate cheat meals for my clients. So let's say they've lost a good chunk of weight and maybe they've had a couple of days back on their normal diet now after the sickness has subsided, and they're still struggling to get some of that weight back. That would be an instance where I would maybe recommend that they go out and they have a cheat meal and get a really big splurge in calories just to kind of try and shoot that body weight up and try and get it back to where it was prior to getting sick. Just to kind of give you guys some hard numbers. On Wednesday, before I got sick, I was 205, and by the end of the day on Friday or Saturday morning, I guess, I was 199. So I lost about 6 pounds in 2 days. And at this point, I'm back up to about 202 or 203. So I am obviously heavier than where I was at my lowest, but I have not quite yet regained all of the body weight that I have lost. Coincidentally, this weekend coming up, we have some family events and Father's Day, so I'm going to use that as an opportunity to have a nice cheat meal and get some extra calories into the diet. But if I didn't have those events coming up, I would probably schedule some sort of a cheat meal or just a higher calorie day, just maybe doubling my carbs for every meal or something like that. But the essential essence of it is that if you're losing a ton of weight from being sick and you're having a hard time getting that back, then don't have an issue or don't be on your high horse about not being able to have a cheat meal or something upon your return in order just to kind of refill your glycogen and just kind of try and get some of that body weight back on. From a training perspective, I am actually not an advocate of getting back into the gym the first day that you feel better, and instead I'm an advocate of taking that first day back as a full rest day and just kind of focusing on being 100% with your diet and hydration and getting a good night's sleep before you return to the gym. So let's say that Monday is the day that you get sick and then you're out of the gym on Monday and then you're out of the gym on Tuesday, and then let's say you wake up on Wednesday morning and Wednesday morning you wake up and you feel like, hey, I could train today. Your brain and maybe your body is going to tell you that you want to get in the gym on Wednesday, but I like to fight that urge, and instead I would just use Wednesday as another rest day just to be perfect with my diet and perfect with my water and try and get a good night's sleep that night and then return to the gym on Thursday. From my personal experience, if you rush getting back into the gym too quickly after getting sick, one of two things will happen. One, you'll either have a really poor workout in terms of your training numbers, or you may get sick again, especially if you rush back into things too quickly. I have definitely done that before, where I've gone back into the gym and haven't been quite fully recovered yet, and then next thing you know, the sickness has returned and I'm out for another couple of days. And then as far as returning to your gym sessions, I do think it's important to give yourself some grace for your first couple of workouts here. I would say most of the time, 75 to 85% of the time, as long as I take that first day that I'm feeling good as a rest day. As I mentioned earlier, my training numbers are usually pretty solid. If you guys have been paying attention to the numbers during this session here, you can kind of see that other than the Smith incline press, up until this point in the workout, I have progressed every one of my lifts from the previous rotation. Now, at this point, for the remainder of the workout, the bicep curl, rear delt, and lateral raise, all of those took a little bit of a hit today compared to the last rotation that I had done. And normally that would obviously be something that I would be concerned about, but considering that this was my first workout back after being sick, by the way, look at how hard of a time I'm having getting my straps off of this T-bar. Considering that this is my first workout back after an extended period of time being sick, and considering my body weight is down like 3 to 5 pounds from the last time that I did this workout, at some point you have to think that something is going to give. And usually for me, it's going to be things towards the end of the workout. I kind of noticed on this workout in particular that I was having a harder time sustaining my energy levels towards the second half of the workout. The beginning was still pretty good, and like I said, up until the T-bar, I've been able to progress everything so far in this workout, but everything from here on out is actually going to take a little bit of a hit, but I think it's important to have some grace with yourself and not really get into your head too much about that. I'm very, very confident that having a full week back on normal training and normal diet and sleep and hydration and everything this week, by the time next week rolls around and I'm getting back to doing this session again, I should be able to get all of those reps back and maybe even more. So that's just kind of another common thing to think about, is when you do eventually return to the gym, I do step foot into the gym planning and intending on picking up where I had left off, but sometimes that isn't the case, and when that does happen, I try to just stay calm and keep level-headed and just try and understand that I may be asking a little bit too much of myself to be able to pick up exactly where I had left off. But that doesn't stop me from trying or going into the gym with the intention of trying to get all of those reps back. So that pretty much is going to wrap things up for today's discussion. I know that this is kind of a fairly important topic. It's going to be something that every lifter is going to deal with at some point, is getting sick. And for those of us who are really dedicated and committed to our goals, that can feel like a huge setback. But having a proper plan in place for not only the sickness time, but also getting back to things after your sickness is probably the best way to go about staying on top of things. And I hope that you guys learned a few things in this video to help you do that. As always, any questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments. If you're interested in coaching or any of my services or anything, I have those in the description below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, guys, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you on the next video.